Really? Time to
Shit, what's going on here? Where's the? Oh, here we go. Comments are plenty.
Oi!
Okay, why don't you do the first 3 minutes in Portuguese?
E aí, galera, tudo bem? A gente está aqui na Praia Segredo, no costa leste do Brasil. Aqui é muito legal, não tem muita gente, mas é bem quente, tem muito calor aqui. Tipo 30 graus, 32 graus, tem ruas abertas, barzinhos, pessoas, é muito, muito legal. Did you understand?
I wasn't listening, I was just making faces.
That's going to be two of our profiles watching it on open tabs.
I was making faces in the mirror.
Right, so let me translate that. So we are currently in a place called Arraial da Ajuda, which is on the sort of east to northeast coast of Brazil. We've been traveling for a week and a half roughly now, and this is our fourth destination, I think. And it's pretty cool. It's a beautiful place. We wanted a bit of a Wild West dive to actually film some stuff for you guys. We've got a new idea brewing in the pipeline, which is essentially that rather than just focusing on infield videos, just these short clips, we want to show you guys the full process. Essentially what it's like for us to enter a new area, enter a new city or state, go out there, live our lives essentially, day in the life type thing, filming as much as we can. Yes, the interactions, yes, the infields, but also us just talking before. And in some of the ones we've got coming up, we're actually just holding the camera whilst talking. So it's more of that sort of relaxed vlogging style. But actually, from our perspective, infields have always been something that's a little bit risky in the long term, right? Because there's that grey area where you're not really supposed to be filming, but it does more good than harm, right? So from a moralistic perspective, we believe that we're doing more good by showing you guys what it looks like to have real interaction and understanding the importance of that, which we clearly do because it both helped us so much. But now what we're trying to do is focus more on how that can just be something relaxed, right? I can be holding a camera and talking into it and then go up and talk to a girl, and you guys can actually hear and see that. So we're going to be focusing more on this sort of reality TV style, just filming everything and putting it all together so you guys get a flavor of what it's like to travel with us, what it's actually like when we go abroad, when we're traveling, when we're approaching in different parts of the world. So we've got some of that already filmed on the camera. But I guess what we're interested in today more than anything is, yes, ask your questions, talk to us about how things are going over here. We're happy to tell you what it's like to travel at this time, happy for your feedback on how London is. But more than anything, for us, it would be great for you guys to tell us exactly what you'd like to see based on this idea that we can virtually film anything. So yeah, please go ahead with any questions about what you want to see, where you're thinking of traveling, what we can help with. And yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, it's great summary, Sam. I think the reason we wanted to stream it all together is me and Sam are recording this thing. So imagine Bald and Bankrupt. A lot of guys who you YouTubers will know him. He's quite down to earth, salt of the earth, focusing on the negative drama, which is why people like him. It's often actually no criticism of his work, but there's not much necessarily. He does some crazy shit, but normally there's not much going on. But it's that kind of realistic, like kind of almost grimy, like acceptance of this is what life is all about.
Yeah, it's not quite voyeuristic. You almost feel like he's pulling you along for the journey.
Yeah, and you'll be a part of the journey, and that's kind of the what we want to create, because we're in Brazil for a month. We've got a really sick camera, and we're going to start filming that kind of point of view, just what we actually experience as we're trying to traveling around in lockdown. Obviously, the tint, the USP for us is keeping it focused on also meeting and dating girls.
Yeah.
But we want your feedback, so we're going to, thinking about Bald and Bankrupt, those of you who have seen him, that's going to be kind of the vibe we're going with. But also, if you guys have any feedback on things you particularly want to see, whether that's dating, whether that's weird types of approaches, whether it's just kind of activities, maybe you want to see our morning routine, what we actually do between the hours of 8 till 12, you can see a highlight reel of that. Anything really, because we're really open game for this. And I think this is the next kind of step in the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Make it a bit more above board.
I think this could be the evolution of how this area of showing sort of dating and approaching is actually presented. Is like, I never thought it could be as easy as me holding a camera, just tracking my face and talking to it, and then going into an interaction with the camera held, and the woman either seeing it or not seeing it, and when she sees it, she doesn't care because you're just vlogging, right? And there's many people that do that. So we're pretty excited about this because it seems like a way to get around the sort of seediness that can sometimes come with the territory, and doing this in a way that's morally acceptable. more helpful for you guys, more fun for us.
Yeah.
And just better for everyone.
Let us know if the volume's okay. We've got some guys coming in. Go James. Hi Caleb. Hi Swiss Bar.
Swiss Bar sounds like a good
Toblerone. Hey Mr. Toblerone. See the skill sets on display, loving seeing in fields, and apparently a lot of you also like watching the world burn, hence why my rejection reel I put out yesterday is doing better than 99.9% of all other videos, because people like the negative, right? So we want to show this grittiness, this realism. I think the reason, probably, I'm speaking for you guys, correct us if we're wrong, but the reason you probably resonate with me and Sam's stuff already is because you see warts and all, you see a lot of our rejections, and that's what we want to paint out for you guys with this new content. It's the actual reality of what we're doing. Yes, we're living a cool life. Yes, we're living life on our own terms, but there's a lot of kind of, not boring times, but there's a lot of admin to do. There's a lot of kind of obviously rejection, not just approaching girls, but just turning up to places that are empty, going into lockdowns, you know, a homeless person tries to rob us on the street. There's all this shit going on. And so we want to paint a picture of what it's actually like, as opposed to like, it's not always a rock star lifestyle. We have a lot of fun with it, but it's not always like.
Yeah, and you deserve to see that. And I think it's actually more fun to see that, right? You want to feel like it's actually, it's real life, because it is. We're never trying to paint this picture that this is constantly the highs. It's the mixture, and it's the amor fati again, isn't it? You've got to love both sides of it and accept both sides, because it comes with the territory as well. Hey, Troy.
Hey Troy, I saw you and Jack chin-wagging about me on your intro to a video the other day, going, yeah, but it was positive chin-wagging, because they said, oh my god, because they did after we did that thing, they did a video together, and Troy was like, oh, did you find it strange interviewing Tusk? Did you also thought he'd be a Neanderthal moron, but he actually had some things to say about life? And Jack was like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. So it was positive, but I'm looking forward. You guys are going to collaborate on.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that would be good.
He's an intelligent man, and he knows his way around the dungeon in Torch Garden. So if we do a Bird kind of way, dressed in our gimp suit leather, the safety word being obviously banana, that'll be a lot of fun.
I accept.
Yes, vlogs would be great content. I'm short and skinny. Want to see not so conventionally good looking guys doing pickup. Do we know any ugly guys on film that we've worked with, or students of ours, or just mingers in general that we work with that pull a lot of muscles?
I mean, there's plenty out there. I mean, I think honestly, I still give props to Yab, because I know the guy and I like the guy, and he's a guy that's not conventionally a good-looking guy. He's heavier than, he's about 2 times heavier than the average guy of his.
So 2 times heavier than
I'm trying to be diplomatic.
So 200 kilos.
I reckon he's about 20% heavier than you are, mate. But
I cannot believe that scale must have been wrong.
No, you're
not actually
96. No, you're a big boy. You're a big boy.
Feed me a fucking.
But look, Yad's got a lot of criticism online, and it's easy to criticize a fat guy when he's approaching, because everything maybe seems a little more comical. But if you are someone who doesn't think that you're in great shape, or you look great, or you've got hang-ups about that, I would strongly recommend you watch Yad, because he really goes for it, and he's done well. I know, I can verify that he's done well. So whatever you think of him, he is someone that's really pushing it as someone that's not conventionally in any way attractive. But the more important and bigger point on that is that if you are someone that's hung up about not being attractive, you really can do a lot to correct for that. You can do so much. If you had looked at pictures of me when I was 17, 16,
you're a good looking rooster. You've gone down.
It was an absolute horror show. It was hair like this, acne all over the face.
You did look like an additional
skinny fat.
You look like you're out of Hogwarts.
Horrible,
I've seen your little photo.
Yeah, horrible body language. It was an absolute horror show. And so over those years, when I started to get them tiny bits of attention from women, I had to just sort my life out. So I got I asked for the David Beckham in the barbers. That's something I'll never say again. I got the David Beckham in the barbers. I just took a picture of David Beckham. I was like, give me that. Started going to the gym, stood up straight, and took it from there. So like, I'm not saying it's always that simple, but you can always do a lot to improve the way that you present yourself. I know a lot of guys who aren't good looking, but they've got great body language and they've got natural confidence, and they do really well. And that's something you can build for yourself. No one's a real natural. When you meet someone that's a natural, it's because they had strong female figures in their early childhood, mothers, aunties, close, strong female figures that essentially taught them how to deal with women, flirtatious, sort of hardcore women. And those guys grow up to be guys that are attractive to all women because they learn early on how to deal with difficult women.
Matt Viking says, agrees, the boring stuff every day is the best content. Ironically, yes, because you resonate with it. So that's what we're going to try and put out. And there's no right or wrong with this. We're going to get an editor to start putting out episodes on both our channels. And during those episodes, please give us feedback on that as well. Send us emails, write comments, because we want to try and improve it and make it very watchable.
Yeah.
What else we
How
got?
to scout for location for day game.
How to scout for location.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Amir Walkett sounds like a woman on the prowl.
Hi, Amir.
Here is her photo.
Hi, Amir. Either way, great if you are, great if you aren't. How to scout out locations for day game. Depends what you're looking for. Like, if the country's in lockdown, you obviously don't have a lot of options. So go to the parks, right? Go to the open spaces where people who aren't terrified of the virus are going, and go out and talk to them. We got a video of Camden Town recently in London. It looks fucking
yeah. For anyone watching this from London, maybe Troy, if you're watching this, comment, because we saw a video of a former student of mine who was in Playa showed me a video of Camden today. It was absolutely heaving. Camden Market, I think it's open, but everyone's just decided, right, fuck it, we're using it as an excuse to basically say fuck you to lockdown. There was not an ounce of social distancing in that video.
But scout out locations. The way that I deal with this when I'm by myself, right, it's a bit different when I'm traveling, but when I'm going and traveling by myself or staying in London, I look at these two things. I say, what kind of girls am I interested in, and what kind of places are likely to have those type of girls? And then I find the point at which those two things meet. So for me, I'm interested in electronic music, for example, and I know that certain art galleries in London, for example, the Saatchi Gallery, has a lot of attractive women. So when the Saatchi Gallery does an electronic music exhibition, I know that I've hit the jackpot. And lo and behold, when I go to that exhibition, I meet amazing women because they're young, they're attractive, they like the same music as me, we have a lot to talk about, high foot traffic. It's a really natural environment. So for me, that's the mecca, is finding where the two points meet of the types of girls you're attracted to, and the types of environments that you like to be in, and where are those environments that you like that also have attractive women, and where those two things meet, you found the mecca. Other than that, high foot traffic. You're always going to find some girls you like in a place with high foot traffic and lots of semi-expensive clothes stores. Think Oxford Circus, Bond Street, Covent Garden, Knightsbridge, South Kensington, Hampstead, and parts of East London, maybe.
Hampstead? Yeah, Hampstead. You were banging on about Guildford being a hidden gem.
Yeah, Guildford Station is probably the best patch of real estate in the whole of England.
Is it where all the football
I don't want to tell the world this. We'll find fucking 100 guys queuing up without train tickets.
Well, I mean, it happened in Playa. Basically, the place has been burnt to a crisp because me and lads are filming loads of content there, and that's become like a mecca for everyone going there. Shubham. How do you pronounce that? If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me.
Shubham Keswani.
Hey,
James, I overcome almost hot women every day cause I work in retail shop. Any tips if it would be affected if I can talk to women while I am working?
So, yeah, basically you're experiencing high volumes of decent looking women coming into shop. I think you can definitely practice flirting with them. I wouldn't push it too far. You don't want to become known as the guy at work who's sitting on all the customers and then subsequently get in trouble. If a girl is really like giving you the eye, clearly is super interested, maybe you can do it discreetly. But yeah, practice your flirting skills by all means, but don't necessarily hitting or trying to get numbers of all the girls.
Yeah, like I would say it very much depends. If the girl's hitting on you, it's a different story to if you're trying to hit on her. If you work in the shop and you're trying to flirt with customers, you're going to get fired in a week. I wouldn't do it. What you could do is print out some cards just with your name, email address, phone number. There's no harm in it. And if you meet a girl and you have a little connection, you can just say, by the way, here's my card. If you want to talk more about any of the stuff you talked to, drop me a message on here. Give her a wink, because you've got to be careful in these places. If I ever go into a shop to hit on a girl that's working there, I do it so discreetly because I understand one of the laws of human psychology is that if you make a woman's life more difficult, right? If you compromise her working situation, if you essentially compromise her ability to survive in society, she will automatically find you unattractive. And so if I'm going to flirt with a woman in a shoe shop or a supermarket who works there, I'm always going to do so in a way that doesn't compromise her professional situation. And so that's with subtlety, right? Maybe you're talking about shoes if you're in a shoe shop, and then you very subtly say, I'm not interested in shoes. I find you very attractive, but I understand you're working. So let me give you my phone. You can put your number in, and in 10 seconds, I'm going to leave the shop and we'll talk on the phone. Right? Something like that is going to be the right way to do it. She recognizes that you're socially intelligent enough to understand her professional situation. She doesn't get annoyed by the fact you potentially put her in trouble with her manager or embarrassed her in front of the girls that she's trying to get into the social circle with, who she works with. You don't want to fuck with her social situation. You want to do things discreetly, and by doing that, you display intelligence. So be smart about it. You're on the other end of that. Be smart about it. Print out some cards. If a woman's like flirting with you a little bit, drop her a card. If she likes you enough, she'll message you.
Guys, give us a shout out where you're watching from, the most random location. One of them wins a free 30-minute coaching call.
No, it's going to make them up.
Hello from Sydney, Australia. Yeah, this guy has. United States Easy. When Italy took over the US, they created United States Easy. We have Ukraine. Yeah, the more random, the better. I'm looking for someone in Mongolia if you're there. Matt Viking, this is one for you, Sam. How many UK guys do you know that have conventional jobs out in Brazil or working remotely?
Okay, so I know a few, right? There's a lot. I know a lot of German guys. I know quite a lot of Yanks. I know a couple of UK guys. I've met many, but in terms of actually close friends of mine,
The Yanks.
I don't have a lot of close UK friends in Rio at the moment. It's mostly other Europeans.
I guess what he's really asking is it a cool place to live, maybe Rio, and is it easy to work remotely from? Maybe that's how we should interpret it.
Conventional jobs working remotely. More and more guys, and it's not just Brazil, but all across Europe, loads of my friends are leaving. In Brazil, let me put it this way. Rio's a great place to do that. You've got access to great internet. There's always going to be movement, people out and about. You've got the beach bar, you've got gyms everywhere. It's really, really easy to live well. If you come to Rio and you want to work remotely, I will give you a social circle. So yes, it's a good idea. To answer your question, Matt, I know a few, but to answer the question I think you really want to ask, yes, it's a good idea. And for me, Rio is one of the top places to do that. It just really depends on where you stay. So I highly recommend you get in contact with me or through Tusk with me, because I know Rio fairly well now, the social scene and the professional scene. And so I'll be able to set you up with exactly what you need in terms of accommodation, social circle, and everything else. So yeah, Rio is a very good place if you want to work remotely.
Admin@flow.social, guys, if you want to get in touch with hello from a fellow UK brethren. We've got United States Easy. Dan Colbert, you bullshitter. We both know you're sitting in your flat after a long marathon of cooking omelettes.
Trying to keep it clean, are we, Jess? Dan's got his VPN set to Ukraine.
Mr. Colbert, I'm sure if you've been, the dream's still alive. Mr. Colbert obviously done a lot of helped me and Sam a lot over the years as our cameraman. You still, one of the best ideas you ever had was buy a castle in Ukraine. You told me it cost £16,000 in the countryside, which is an absolute bargain if ever I've seen it. Hey, God. For an international test section. If you can send us a picture from space, Mr. Agord. Matt Viking, Newcastle upon Tyne.
Cool.
Apparently, there's an influx of Portuguese.
James, what's your tips to learning languages?
I mean, is this actually Dan, or is it?
No, it's real Dan.
But where's his photo? That's not him. It's a different lad.
Oh right. Is that...
If you're actually Dan and not Dan, our cameraman, like, fair play to you. I'm getting slightly confused by it all now. I'm not sure who's real and what's smoke and what's mirrors.
Dan's not. Well, Dan, what's your tip? James, what's your tips to learn language?
I mean, you can speak Portuguese better than me. You did it by just moving to the country, right?
Yeah, I had lessons with a friend of mine, the guy that we're traveling with, Eddie.
Did he actually give you proper lessons?
Yeah, he gave me proper lessons. We did an exchange, and I did essentially 4 to 8 hours before I came here. 1 hour a week. He gave me homework, vocabulary to learn, common phrases to learn. By the time I came here, I was speaking a tiny bit, just after 6 hours, let's say. And then as soon as I got here, I went to restaurants, got in Ubers, and I talked to everyone. And within 6 months, I was fully conversational. Within a year, I was fully conversational. I'm still not fluent, but I can talk with
markedly better, markedly compared to.
I get by fine now.
Swiss Bar. Troy has mentioned that became more social in his early days by taking up drinking and drugs. I relate a lot to his stories about walking around with the mark of Cain on his forehead during uni. What? What's the mark of Cain? Am I being fucking thick? What does the mark of Cain mean? But yeah, I mean, Troy now is teetotal. For those of you who watch his stuff, if you don't, I'd really encourage you to go and check it out. He's a very good writer. He's very articulate. He knows his stuff, and he's into things like Robert Greene, which I'm a fan of.
To say the least.
To say the least.
What do you talk about?
But I don't talk about obfuscation, which he's a big fan.
But yeah, I mean, look, if it takes you going out and being a bit more sociable, maybe it does involve drinking drugs. We're not going to directly recommend that as a route. And if anything, I got into day game to come away from that, because that's something I was doing too much of, and I was attracted to the fact you could be sober during day game and you didn't need to be doing drinking drugs.
I would put it this way, like, it's the easy option is usually not the best, right? If it seems easy, like, oh, I'll just take MDMA, I'll just drink alcohol and everything will be fine. It might be right now, but there's no free meals. You're always going to pay for it in the future, and that might be in things that you didn't learn that you could have, or it might be in the hangovers that tear apart the next 4 days, and you don't get any more. You don't get any more education because your mind's gone to mush. I would say that one of the best feelings you can have as a guy learning this, and even at any stage, is going out completely sober whilst other people are drinking, carrying around a 2-liter bottle of water, and treating the environment like your living room. Not treating it like, oh, I'm another guy fighting for the attention of women. Just hanging out, going out and talking to a few friends, sitting down on a bench when everyone's standing up, having a chat with a girl, treating it like you're not in the same environment as them. You're just hanging out. You're just chilling in a place that you find comfortable, and they're all doing their drinking and their night out. And by doing that, and by not really kind of putting yourself in the same frame as all of them, but just like you're hanging out before you go to bed, you're having some conversations, drinking some water, you can find it's particularly in Rio, you can find like a really nice flow, like a really easy, fluid social role credit.
He's done it. He's done the thing where he puts his name into the thing, and so it's usually me that does that for you.
No,
what's going on?
No, you haven't done it yet, right? We're 15 minutes in. It's pitiful.
That's true, but just to clarify, Swiss Bar, so I think, look, you're talking about alcohol and drugs. That's not going to kickstart your social life. You're 28 with no sexual experience, just one date. What you really need as a date context, you're watching the right people, because this is what we do full time. Send either Sam an email, admin@flow.social, or me an email, or both of us, James at info@jamestusk.com, and we'll hop on the phone to you and have a chat about your situation, where you want to go, and what you need to fix together, and our opinion on that. That's free. But yeah, man, at 28, if I've been on one date, I'd be looking to change something dramatic. If you keep the same thing, if you don't do anything different and expect different results, that is crazy. Alcohol and drugs are not going to solve your problem with women. In fact, you're going to get more sloppy, because we're most on point when we're sober.
Yeah, we are. So, but just to quickly tie that up, if you go out now completely sober when other people are drinking, and give it a go, do 3 or 4 approaches, you're going to come back home and you're going to feel amazing. So you just know you're taking the right course of action. You know you're on the right track. And that's what it's all about, really. It's about this feeling of slow progression, every day getting better. And by going out and doing what other people can't do, and sober, going out and talking to people, you feel amazing, and it really, really does help. So no problem with drugs and booze per se. But in terms of actually education and learning and actually getting good in a long-term sense, it's not the answer.
It's avoidance as well. It's like guys that come to us and they're like, oh, I want to get good at day game. We're like, okay, cool. And then like, I'm going to do Toastmasters, I'm going to do improv. And we're like, but yeah, how many girls have you spoken to in the last 6 months? They're like, well, no, I'm going to do those things first. It's like, it's weaseling out of it. It's your brain tricking you into thinking you're doing something productive when you're not.
Not to say they aren't productive, but they're productive alongside doing what you know you need to do, right? But you can't just do these things and look at them as an alternative, because you're just going to be constantly avoiding the one thing that needs addressing.
So, Mr. Toblerone, send us an email, either me or Sam. James, I'm getting a lot of first dates, but not getting second dates. Again, maybe get some feedback from us. I'm going to be back in London end of April. I don't know where you're based, but if you are based in London, that's an option. Or buy the first date walkthrough product I've got, which maps out everything again. Google James Tusk number close to naked, or send me an email, info@jamestusk.com. We can talk about that. Tom Cartwright says, what's the best way to starting a convo with a girl in a gym, or is it something you wouldn't do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Absolutely would do it. There's loads of different options. It depends whether you're moonlighting in different gyms, in which case, if you're not going back to the same gym, you can be more direct. If it's a gym that you go to regularly, you need to be a bit more diplomatic. How would you go about that?
If you go regularly, I mean, it depends who you're thinking about. You think about receptionists, or you think about people that are using the gym. If they're using the gym, you want to build up a relationship over time. So the first time you give her a smile, or ask if she's still using the weights, right? Or ask if she needs a spot, if she's doing squats or something like that. Just get comfortable, get friendly. And then over time you come in, you say hi, you talk to her a bit. The way that I look at it is, if I'm going to a place regularly, I wait until the point that I believe there is no awkwardness with whatever outcome. So if I say, hey, let's go for a drink later, like, hey, what are you up to later? She's like, oh, I finished work at 6. You're like, let's go grab a glass of wine together. The 2 responses you get is either, yeah, of course, or like, no, I'm not, we're not for dating, we're friends. I like you too much, friend. Right? But either way, you can come back to that gym the next day and it's completely fine, right? I wouldn't, if I'm going there regularly, I wouldn't ask the question until I'm certain that the answer is not going to be weird in any way, because you can do that, right? And you intuitively know when you know someone well enough and you're sort of playful enough with them, that either response that they give isn't going to be shattering to the relationship, and it's not going to make you want to leave the gym, right? So that's what I'd say for people working in the gym.
But if they're working in the gym,
if they're working out in the gym, if they're working out in the gym.
Working out.
Yeah, if they're working in the gym, it's sort of the same thing. If it's like a receptionist, again, you've got to be careful not to put her in a position where her professional responsibilities are compromised. But build it up over time. I build it up over time, and when you know her well enough, her manager's not there, there's not many people talking, you can just ask her out. And again, wait for the point that asking the question isn't going to destroy your comfort zone in the gym. It's not going to put you in a position where it feels weird to return to that gym, and you intuitively know when that point is. But if you're asking the question and if she says no, it's going to make things awkward for the rest of the time you go there. Then you don't know her well enough. In that situation. So it's very different from regular cold approach.
If you are doing what a lot of guys will be doing in the next few months and traveling and moonlighting between different gyms because you're jumping between places, you absolutely can go more direct. But I'd still just go up and say, hey, I wanted to say hello. And you're going to be able to tell pretty quickly whether she wants to have that conversation. If she looks at you like kind of a little bit of a smile behind the mask, or responds, or it's like, hi, then obviously carry on. If she's looking away, going back to her workout, looks a bit disgruntled, just leave it. That's the calibrated way to do it. You don't necessarily need to open with a direct compliment, I'd say.
Yeah.
That guy in 3D, what names these characters have? I love it. Tips on keeping girls from different cities warm. So this is actually something that we've been discussing. It's what me, Sam, and the guys that we're traveling with and anyone that's slightly older look to do, which is, go back to certain cities and you have girls in those cities. Obviously, sometimes they find a boyfriend, they drop off. How regularly, out of interest, would, for example, this girl that you quite like from Campinas, how often would you hooked up with her a few months ago and you've been in touch with her, how often would you be kind of speaking to her? Would it be text? Would it be
WhatsApp? Interesting question. Like, actually, I've sort of, since coming back to Brazil this time, Instagram is something that I found more and more of a useful tool.
Interesting.
Because it's a way of essentially giving people a constant feed of information about you, and girls will just telegraph their interest to you over that. So if you upload a story, I upload a load of stories of him doing stupid things.
I don't know what you're up to.
It's great. It's the best. It's the best.
You've been losing followers like we've
I'm losing the ones that don't count, the ones that don't matter. But if I upload a picture of him riding a plastic donkey in some shopping mall kids section, and a girl comments, "Oh, so cute," or with hearts, I know that she's interested in me. The thing about Instagram,
so you're actually interested in the plastic horse,
or you, right? But either way, you're getting information, you're getting data, right? So in terms of that, it's like if she uploads a picture, right, I have something fun to say, I can build on our personal narrative, right? Some of the through lines of conversation that we've built, I can comment something and I want to talk to her, then I'll talk to her. But I don't feel much responsibility ever to message them every week or every 2 weeks. As soon as you start putting these limitations on it, like message her once a week, it's going to fall apart over time because you're already forcing a frame around it. And those ones, particularly the ones where they're in other cities, there shouldn't be an imbalance of attention where you're putting more attention on her than she is on you. Those need to be the ones where either she's investing more in you, or it's completely equal. And you both have that relationship where it's like, yeah, fine. When we're in the same city, when we got a bit of time, let's hang out. We always have a good time, but there's no pressure. There's too much pressure either way. The expectations are going to get skewed. One of you is going to want something that the other one doesn't, and one of you is just going to drop off. So I would just say whenever you want to, but Instagram's a great way of seeing data from them that you can respond to, and them seeing data from you that they can respond to. It's a really good sort of social motor that just keeps things ticking over. And it only requires just a quick one on Instagram, because fuck it. Only requires 9 photos. You just want one grid of photos, of 9 decent photos, you by yourself, you with friends, you doing some interesting activities, and then every now and then uploading something new, uploading a story, and you're going to get some interest coming in, and that interest is a great way of gauging what's on your sort of social schedule.
So then someone, for instance, a girl that you've seen a few times you want to see again, how often are you, say, messaging her on Instagram?
Literally, it doesn't, there is no time, right? So I might message the girl in Campinas, for example, like every day for 3 days, and then not at all for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Right? There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like when you see something that you like.
But the key is you're still messaging her.
Yeah, I'll still stay in touch, but I
do all the work.
Yes, I'll still message her.
Phone calls at all? Ever do
that?
No.
We do voice messages. I'll do video messages.
Mix up the thing.
I'll like comment something funny on one of her Instagram posts or like a story or something. And then when I want to see her, for example, I might see her in a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll just set up a location. I'll be like, do some recce for me in your city. Like, tell me where's a good place to stay, and then I'll fly over and come and see her. But she wants it to be this que sera, spontaneous vibe of not planning things, not pushing things. If she's willing to go that distance with you and have that long-term arrangement, it means she enjoys the no strings attached vibe for now. She likes seeing you as a free animal and not someone that's under her, under her control, and there's no logistics to it. It's all very natural and spontaneous. And so let it be that. Give her good attention when you want to, but don't feel any need to keep messaging, keep it sort of always active.
Have you ever stopped a dude? Have you ever stopped a girl realised do many times in Thailand and in London? Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, have you?
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. Did you? What happened?
I didn't allow Tim Tam to stay in my bed.
Come on, Tim Tam, you gave it a good. I've got to tell the story to the troops because they'll love it.
Right.
Well, I probably already said it, but yeah, there was one time, in a club. This was years ago, back in Thailand. I would love to say I was really, really drunk, but I wasn't. I just had a few tequilas, as old Sikofosagon says. I don't know why I'm saying that in a Thai voice. But yeah, the dark, smoky atmosphere. Kissed what I thought was a very good-looking woman. Striking looking, no Adam's apple on view, small werewolf hands, not too much fur, long pins, long levers, dancing like a bit of a splash, actually, in hindsight.
Not a good jig.
No, but she was, kissed her and then went off with some mates and then met her the next day, I think, and then got drunk with her and then took her back to mine and didn't think anything of it, walked in and then had her on the bed, taking her skirt off, and out comes this baby's arm holding an apple, or baby. It was giant, and I was like, hold on,
a big one.
Well, yeah, two things are strange here. A, it's a bloke. B, he or she has actually got a massive piece of equipment. So that was it was very surprising.
And then what happened?
I was like, I wasn't angry, I was just disappointed. I was like, come on, you gave it a good go.
She almost had you.
Yeah, you almost had me. Go on, good one, Tim Tam. She's like, no, please, Mr. James, we stay, we make fun with double sausages. I was like, nah, you've got to go. So out she trotted. Yeah, I think I even shook her hand at the exit. That's wrong, America.
She was expecting more than the hand.
Yeah, so yeah, what's the George Bush quote? Fool me once. Fool me
once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again.
And I have been fooled again. And we're up to 50 viewers. They seem to like these tales. Any tales from the crypt, actually, of our... So just for people joining me in time, we've been traveling around. We left Rio, which went into a lockdown. We've been traveling around the east coast of Brazil, the northeast coast. We started in a town called Buzios, which is kind of reminds me of Butlins in the UK, but slightly
it's a
nicer.
really nice beach town, but we got there and immediately wanted to leave because it's too pristine and nice. Yeah. It's set up for people traveling to a nice beachside town to share a bottle of wine and talk about the neighbours. It's a bit too easy for us. We wanted something a little bit more wild, so we moved up the coast into the middle of nowhere to try and find something a little more feral, which we sort of did. We went to Vitória, another city, which is amazing city in Brazil when it's not locked down, but in a total lockdown. Mm-hmm. So then we escaped on another bus, impossible to sleep bus overnight, and arrived in a place called Trancoso.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a really nice place, actually.
Also an amazing place. We'll be going back soon. And now we're in a slightly more feral version of Trancoso. We're gradually going down the scale of luxury as we go, which was always the plan.
Any comical events, any funny stories so far on the banter bus?
God, you put the pressure on it now. I'm sure there've been some haven't there?
I'm sure there's much report, to be honest. It's just been grey. It's been the London sky, the colour of the London sky.
Look, we've all got stuck in as much as possible. But the banter bus has been rolling slowly.
It's been fun. We've also been travelling with a guy who's we both known for a while from Sao Paulo. He's a very cool guy, and it's been good to have that kind of dynamic of three of us. Because if one of us goes off for a date, it doesn't leave the other one stranded, for want of a better phrase. Some of the best times I've ever had have been traveling solo, but when you're in the vibe of being around people, it can be hard to suddenly switch into, oh shit, I'm on my own. So it's been cool having him as well. Yeah,
it's been good. We've all got stuck in. Honestly, I mean, there's not been like loads of opportunities because it's getting locked down here as well, right? So it's not been like the party atmosphere of crowded streets and busy bars and all of that. But we've got some good footage. We've got some infields. There's been some fun events, but we're thinking from Monday right now, the weekend is actually where they lock everything down to dissuade tourists from coming. And on the Monday through till Friday is actually when things open up. So we're thinking about staying here until Tuesday and then moving on Wednesday through till the weekend to another place, because we want to get as much footage and have as much fun as we can meeting women around here.
Hello, Joe from Malta. I've got a feeling this guy is a troll pretending to be James Colbert, Dan Colbert. So he's pretending to be our camera. I can't be Dan asking these questions, can I?
You keep clicking on them.
James' favourite sex position? Don't say missionary. I'm sorry, it's missionary. Mirror missionary on the ceiling, the old champagne on ice routine. Guys are asking a lot about Torreira. It's not put our positions comment on the people, and me and Sam have adamantly been trying to remind ourselves of a rule we had in place years ago, which is don't talk about other people when they're not in the room unless it's positive.
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of guys, if you're looking for kind of masculine rules to follow that are kind of blanket fits, and we fuck up on these sometimes because it's human nature when I talk about people when they're not there. But if you can get to the stage of not talking about anything negative about someone else to a friend when they're not in the room, that's a fucking only do it if you're going to say it to their face.
It's
right?
huge. Yeah, and
it's massive.
And when
you
do it, which you will, and we will, everyone will inevitably, because it's part of our social conditioning, our evolutionary conditioning is to talk about people, because it helps other people in our tribes of 100 to 150 people, evolutionarily speaking, to know who is worth hanging out with and not hanging out with. It's primarily the domain of women, but men also have an evolved instinct to bitch and gossip. When you do it, call yourself out. Say, I don't know why I'm talking about someone else. I'm going to stop doing that. It's
because you know what happens as well. Like, we've all got good friends, right? There's a guy that I'm very good friends with, but it was surprising recently that he's been kind of sending me messages about other people that I thought we were both friends with. And it's kind of very negative bitching. It's like, fuck. If he's doing that about these guys, he's doing that about me.
He may do that
may not about me, but it's kind of like for that rule, I think it's like you are kind of, and people pick up on it. Like if I found out Sam was talking about me behind my back in a negative way, I'd be like, oh come on, what the fuck? But you'd also probably then think I'm doing it because you're doing it, right? It's just a very negative thing to do. It's insidious.
Yeah, you really do think that other people are going to be doing that. That person has the capacity to do the same about you, and it's really not. It's not a good way to think. There's this quote that I always remind myself of, which is that most men talk about people, good men talk about events, great men talk about ideas.
Love it.
And so that's how you should be thinking, right? If I'm in the world of like, this person's bad, the outrage culture of blaming things on people and getting wrapped up in these minor personal issues, then you're just following the crowd, you're a sheep. If you're talking about events, things that are happening, then you're doing good. But if you're talking about ideas and creating and talking about concepts and notions and ideas, then you're doing the best. So most men talk about people, good men talk about events, great men talk about ideas.
And again, it's very easy, as Sam says, to sit on the negative side. It's always very easy to bitch and moan about your situation with other people. Why not use that Jocko Willink rule? It's a video on YouTube called Good, where it's basically reframing always to like, that went wrong. What's the good to come of it? And you can always reframe it to positive.
There's always a way of finding the good in every situation.
There really
is. Any situation.
Okay, so we've been going 37 minutes, guys. Me and Sam are giving up our Saturday evening. So if you would like to ask some more questions, let's fire them away and we'll answer them. If not, we'll kind of bring it to an end. But we've got a few here. Okay, Swiss bar. Just to clarify, James, mark of Cain is a Hebrew word for omen or sign of remembrance. Troy referring to having a mark that protects him from other people. A Teflon man that keeps others away. So by getting absolutely Spanish and walking down the corridor dribbling, he kept people away. Is that what you're saying?
I'm less sure about what it is than before, but I love the way you've worded it. I'm actually impressed as a wordsmith. I'm impressed with how you've worded it.
Sam, what's your Insta?
Fluid, social, no spaces, no nonsense. Exactly like that.
So check out Sam. He's got a good example of a good Instagram profile, or one that works.
Right, mate. It's all right.
One that works and not scare the troops.
Yeah, it's not a terrible one, but it's not perfect. There's too much fitness, and there's too much fitness stuff on there, and probably not enough actually variance on that. So it's definitely something I could be doing more things with my friends, more activities, and getting that on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just not one really usually to have a camera handy or to ask some couple to take a picture of me.
No, we don't have a really expensive high value camera.
Well, we do now, right? So that's why everything's changed.
Well, yeah, now you're into just terrible stories of me. You got trigger happy. Yes, we did both go to Nottingham Uni, a long way from where we are right now, from where you are. This is an interesting one, Sam. What do you think? When it comes to cold approaching, isn't physical attractiveness the most important thing? I'd say in the initial phases, absolutely, but we're not talking about a good face will help, but how good does the guy look? Is he dressed sharp? How's his body language? How's his smile? How's his posture? All these elements combine to give you that window of time to then deliver value to the girl, right?
Yeah, I've got a friend who you've met, Toby, who's actually in Mexico with Les right now, and he's a good-looking lad. Not a bad-looking lad at all, and he's got some decent chat. He doesn't mess it up. He doesn't say anything stupid.
No anti-game.
No, he doesn't blow himself out or hit the person he's with. He's very solid, right? But the thing that girls pick up on with him is his body language, because he's got this very sure, masculine. Always just say they're like, your body language is amazing. When I've been with a girl that I'm seeing, she sat there and been like, Toby's hot. Toby's got a good body language. I know. And so there's so much you can do, these little things, but really most of it just comes down to being sure of yourself and being sure that you want to be in the conversation with her. So many guys focus on little things, micromanaging, and the really big thing they're missing is that they're so focused on other things that they're not actually in the moment attracted to the woman. And when you're talking to a girl and you feel actively attracted to her, she feels it as well, and then she gives it back. And then everything compounds from there. But if you're thinking about what you're going to say and how you're looking, and that you're shorter than her, you're not good looking enough, or that you don't have enough experience, then in that moment, you're not even paying attention to her. And if you're not paying attention to her, you cannot be attracted to her. I don't mean recognizing that she's objectively hot. I mean actively feeling that feeling towards her. When you feel it, you're looking at her and feeling attracted. That's when she feels it. And that's when, if you are in any way her type, or if there's any chance of it going anywhere, that's when she'll give the same back to you, and she'll start touching her hair. She'll start widening her eyes and flickering her eyes, and that's where everything's going to come out of. If there's any way it's going to escalate, it will come from you actively being attracted to her.
4'10" and 2 out of 10 looks, and I've had so much success with women. Man, well played is all I can say. And if you're willing to be on camera, we'd love to get you on talking about that. That'd be really, really fucking cool, because that's really good. So yeah, well done is all I can say. Drop us an email. Jensen's Photography. How come? This is Brett. How come you've never done a boot camp somewhere in Australia?
How come you never done a fucking boot camp somewhere in Australia? Sorry, that's a terrible Australian accent. It's a friend of mine. I'm not directly taking the mickey here. It's a friend of mine's accent.
We both got a good friend in Sydney, Mr. Cuts, if you're watching.
Yeah.
And I've got loads of friends in Melbourne. I would like to as well.
I want to do Melbourne.
But we've got to wait till it opens up. It's going to be at least 2022. You guys, I know, are trapped in there, which is a shame. Have you had any typical clients who are typically stoic and intellectual? Had them use that as a strength in day game? There are many different kinds of masculine frame. Yeah, so I mean, the obvious one is control the controllables. Really, all you control is see that hot girl and open and try and get your eye contact on point and give that compliment from a genuine place. And after that, it is in the hands of the gods a bit what happens. So thinking about, not getting too caught up in the end result. If the conversation doesn't go your way, if you do get rejected like five, 6 times in a row, it's nothing personal. And if you think about that stoic kind of, I guess, circle of control, it's what's it? Accept the things that you can change.
It's the serenity for God grant me the courage. God, what is it? The serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between them.
Hey, well remembered on the spot. That's basically what it's saying is control the controllables, forget the rest, right?
Yeah, but I think the stoic frame is particularly useful to the extent that you're not focused on the individual interaction, right? You don't go up, have 2 negative interactions, and then think that, oh, my vibe's off today. There's something wrong with me. It's all bad today. You just know that it's a process, and that there's spontaneity, there's waves, there's ups, there's down, and the more that you can ride along that middle, you can accept the things that cannot change. You cannot change. Change the things you can, and know the difference between them. You can look at the process from a greater perspective and say, it doesn't matter how many are good or bad. I know that this is the natural waves, and if I keep going, I'm going to get the good, and I'm going to get the bad, and I'm going to have a more stable and fluid life. So yeah, that's the way to think about it.
Guido A's question is quite good. Do you guys fall in love, or abundance with girls make it not work that way?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to define in love. I don't fall in love where it's like, I want you, baby, and no one else, and I never want to talk to another girl.
You've never had that before?
No, I have never had that.
Really? Even with your ex-boss?
No, with my ex-girlfriend, every day I was thinking, like, when can I get out of this? No, I don't mean the last girlfriend I had.
No, I
I
know,
mean,
the original.
I mean
The one that got you into the game.
I've loved women before, obviously, but I've never felt truly that I'm comfortable giving myself to one person for the rest of my life. It just does not feel biologically natural to me at all. And maybe that changes, but it doesn't work for me.
This is a great name. Sicilian
Cannoli
and Express. So Tusk, have you ever done day game coaching in the USA? Yes, I go there every year in September. I usually hit New York, Santa Monica,
Vegas, baby.
Austin, sometimes Vegas. This year, the only one's going to be Miami in the US in September. So it's going to be good. Get in touch, info@jamestusk.com. We can discuss it. I do coach in London from time to time, but generally speaking, December to March, I'm in South America. March or April to September, I'm in Europe, but tends to be the Balkans.
But London is amazing. We both agree that London is probably one of the most fun places.
It's brilliant in summer when it's open, and we're going to run a joint one in July, so we'll keep people updated with details.
Actually, that's huge. We should talk about that a bit. Like,
sure.
If you want to go to London, if you're in London, you want to travel, we'll be there in July. London, we both believe, is going to have a complete renaissance from the 21st, 22nd of June.
Yeah.
The doors are going to open officially, and London is going to be absolutely wild. I guarantee the parks are going to be full. The pubs are going to be full. I'm so excited in many ways to get back there when this happens. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of work around there around June, July. So if you are thinking about coming to London, or if you are living in London, then just get in touch with us about that now. So we've already got people. I've got loads of guys at the moment just saying, like, Sam, when are you coming back to London? Like, I want to go out with you now. London's opening up already. So we're super excited actually to get back there for some weeks, some months, and actually make
definitely mid-July or early August we'll run. We're going to be in Helsinki together, but we'll definitely run a London boot camp. It's going to be brilliant, and I think it's going to be a carnival atmosphere because, yeah, as Sam says, from the 21st of June, the plan is as if coronavirus never existed. So no restrictions. People are going to be going wild. People are desperate for social contact. Yeah. Summer in London is the best time. There's so many tourists. City of 12 million people. Very cosmopolitan. One of the best places to learn day game is London summer. We got a few more questions, and then we will call it a goose, guys. Ever done African day game? Yeah, I've got day game in South Africa before. There's some pretty hot girls in Cape Town. I've heard good things about Angola and Ethiopia as well, but I've never done that. Ask Naughty Nomad because I know he's charged around.
I've done a couple in Morocco.
Oh yeah, how was that?
What
were you doing in Morocco? Were you wearing a fez? Tell me you're wearing a fez.
It was in the very early days.
Were you wearing a fez?
No, I didn't actually wear a fez once. But it was difficult. It was tough because it was all very close to the religious buildings, and the bars couldn't really open near the religious buildings. There were too many rules.
What were you doing over there?
I just went traveling.
On your own?
No, with a couple of mates. Chefchaouen, Fez, Essaouira, and Marrakesh.
And what were the women like out there?
There was some good-looking women, but it was had a very closed atmosphere when I went there. And I was young and green. I was 19 years young, so it was just before I got into this area at 19. I was very green, so I think you're more dissuaded by your fleeting emotions and by the sense of things. You don't quite have the same ability to just take the action necessary. But I did a couple over there, and they didn't go great.
Okay, so maybe I've heard Egypt.
I've heard from some people that Morocco can be.
It's very untouched. I don't know anyone who approached there. I don't know. I can't really give any feedback.
Anyone from Morocco, if you have any feedback, tell us.
Or anywhere else in Northern Africa.
Chefchaouen is still one of the most amazing cities I've ever been to.
Really,
it's an entirely blue city.
Blue.
In Morocco. Yeah, it's on top of a mountain range. They grow loads of weed in the fields up there. One of the highest, like super high point, and every building that's built there has to be painted blue, so it blends into the sky when you have to below. Hey, it looks like you're looking at heaven. You're looking up at a blue city blending into the sky in the background.
I'm going to put the name on.
They farm weed. They farm loads of weed. Chefchaouen, SCHEF.
Oh, you're one of those people. H. You're one of those. You're the H.
CHEF.
Yeah. Chef. Chef. Is in the chef himself?
I think it's something like that. I think I've butchered it. Moroccans come at me.
But maybe Google something like that, guys. It sounds.
There's a U in there somewhere as well.
Sounds interesting, to say the least. James, you should upload clips of you approaching the USA. My only fear with that is it's a very big suing culture. We live in dangerous times, so maybe not. Sand says, "Where's the easiest place to learn in the US?"
Sand.
Where's the easiest place to learn in the States? The mall. country bars, nightclubs. I mean, we focus on kind of day game style. So I'd say on the streets when things open up, but obviously don't break any rules.
I've heard what's it, Austin, Texas?
Sammy Moroccan prick.
Austin, Texas, right?
Austin's supposed to be very good.
For the daytime, people are receptive, beautiful, fun, easygoing.
So, final few questions, lads. Oh no, unfortunately, the government will extend lockdown in September. Well, let's not get into this. We're here
in England,
apparently. Well, is that based on anything?
I don't believe that.
Your advice to stop being called a creep or street harasser. Saw the BBC documentary, got scared during cold approaching. So did we.
Stop watching it.
But we also, to be fair, for full clarity, we saw the ADA game thing. We'd had some association with him, and we also bricked it. And we were sitting in Brazil on our own brick because it is scary. And the reason the media is able to whip up such further is they have such influence and such money behind the stories they write and the publicity, and it's all in your face. And it's very easy to get caught up. It's the same thing I don't want to bring up again, but it's the same thing. Recent events been happening in the UK that aren't really related, and we're getting lots of emails going, what the fuck, I can't approach, I can't say hello to someone. How do you just disassociate, apart from obviously what we do, which is we tend not to focus on looking at the media at all, how else would guys just kind of crack on when you do have this kind of hot white noise around you of negativity?
It's completely addictive in the way that anything is, that it will grab onto your dopamine sensors to check out that article about something that you're vaguely
Same thing about complaining, same thing about bitching about someone behind the back, same thing about watching something negative.
Just like we were talking about when you complain about someone, the most important thing is to call yourself up on it and just say, I shouldn't have been doing that. That wasn't a good way to behave, and address it right there. It's exactly the same when you see this. Just recognize that you're building a little world inside your mind that is that I live in the creepy pickup artist, feminist, hyper-feminist, men go their own way world. You're creating this narrative when you watch those YouTube videos, when you read that news article, and the only way to destroy that world is to stop feeding it. When you give it your attention, you give it nourishment, and it grows. When you stop watching it altogether, you mute the sound, you mute the visuals, and you no longer pay attention to that world, it disintegrates. So if you're writing it here, you're paying it too much attention. It is not reality objectively, it is the reality that you're creating for yourself and that the mainstream media is creating for you. And I don't like using terms like mainstream media because it makes you sound like a right-wing conspiracy theorist, but it really, really is. They are paid to give you this information, to get you hooked on this. Stop paying attention to it. Block the site. Stop paying attention. Live in the real world. Don't create little fake worlds in your mind to scare yourselves. It's very addictive. It's not easy, but you've got to try.
The more I want to end the live stream, the more the numbers keep creeping up. We're now on 60, which is cool. Final 8 minutes, lads. If you fire questions at us, we may go slightly longer, but we're not just going to chin wag to nothing. So you've got, just under 7.5 minutes to ask us anything you want.
And we're going to stay stunned until you do. Have the Nazi hunters found you yet?
Do you mean that fucking movie where the Nazis get reincarnated as like they abandoned, like, have you seen that, Nazi zombies? And they come back. Oh, no. Let's watch that tonight. It's a great spoofy movie. Well, I think what he means is the Argentinians, because there tends to be in Brazilian beach towns quite a few Argentinians walking around. Have we seen many Argentinians? I don't know. I think Andrew Hayes, I know who he is, and he's a bit of a loose cannon at times. Aren't you, Andrew? Let's be honest.
I appreciate the lives, guys. Haven't been really following the day game.
Well, if it's something you want to get back into, drop Sam a message, admin at Fluid Social, or myself, info@jamestusk.com, and let's get the ball rolling again, because a lot of people have put their lives on hold. But as we now, using London's example, move into the next few months being basically like Corona's dealt with because people are getting vaccinated, you will be thrown back in. You've either used the time wisely or you've got fat, you've got rusty with your social skills. Why not start planning to get back into this and get the ball rolling by emailing us and having a chat with us? Here from Argentina, Guido, my man, which city? How to dig gumbo, how to deal with white knights coming in to save the girl when you approach.
That's a good question.
Does it happen much in the day game or just the bar game?
In Rio, it doesn't happen at all. The guys will just try and help you out. They'll try and win manually.
What's the worst situation of a guy coming in and trying to cop block, but not trying to get laid, just trying to
it was when I was with a client at what's that bar in Sloane Square? That little but Mexican. No, it's not. It's in Sloane Square. It's a tiny little Mexican tiki bar.
Is it good?
In Sloane Square. It's pretty good. It's very small. It's quite intimidating for most people. It's very good. But I was talking to a guy in the smoking area, and a guy just came in just to bugger it up. He just came in just to just to be annoying. This is what you have to do. don't rise to the guy. Don't pay him any attention. If you're ignoring him, the girl sees that he's not worth your time. Just pay attention to her. Even if it's working and he's dragging her away, your only objective is to talk to her. He doesn't deserve your attention. You don't need to address it. If the girl likes you enough and you're talking to her and you're not distracted by him, she's going to give you her number regardless of him or not. And it's going to be embarrassing for him when she does. There's no function to rising to what he's doing or trying to address it. Just ignore him like a speck of shit on your shoe and focus on the girl that you like and power through. Just, you've got to go into Zen mode and just ignore him completely and just talk to him.
I've had a few times where it's not necessarily white knights, it's just guys stealing girls off me, and it's always very humbling because you think you're doing well, and a guy who doesn't even really know what he's up to just is more in the moment, has more of a connection with her, and she gets lifted away.
Right.
Which is interesting. It's happened to me in bars, it's happened to me on dates. It's part of the game. Has it happened to you ever?
On dates? Never happened to me on a date.
It happened to me on a date. I was in Colombia back in the day, spoke no Spanish, and this guy, he was obviously a bit of a smooth operator. I think he's an Argentinian, big looking guy. She looked up and he made eye contact with her as soon as she came in. And I could just see in her eye, and I just felt my heart racing because I could just see in her eyes dilate, and she was like, "Oh, I want that sausage." I'm bored of the Tusk sausage.
So what did he do? He came over.
He just kind of sat near us and didn't do anything like cretinous, like overly brash. Waited for me to go for a piss. I came back. She had moved her chair close to him, so it was now in between the original date spot here, and he's there, and she's in no man's land. She's put herself into no man's land, and he just had the hand on the knee. And
did you walk out with your tail?
No, at that point I tried to basically involve myself. I was like, right, let's just see what the dynamic is. So I started like trying to talk to them, but they were obviously just kind of like she just left. She was just mentally checked into the other guy. So I just picked up my stuff and I was like, I'm not going to make this more embarrassing for myself. It's time to leave. I just
That's amazing.
Ordered a tequila, paid the bill, down it, walked out into the night. But I think actually I then had a good night because I was like, I was pissed off, but it was again that thing of rejection. Like, okay, fuck it. Well, there's a million other people.
And sometimes that being humbled like that is actually a positive. You just feel like wide-eyed again. Like, oh my god, there's so much to learn. There's so much to like figure out. Like, let me go.
And it was 6 years of challenge talks about it. Social God mode. When you get rejected once or twice, you're just like, fuck this, and you go a bit wild, just charging around, speaking to everyone. I did that night. Don't think I got any result from it, but I had a really good night. And
probably learned a lot more.
Yeah, learn a lot more. And we always talk about, you learn from your failures, not successes, right? And what I did learn is how to, he was a very smooth guy, very cool, very chilled. He actually meant no offense by it. I think as what I left the bar, he's like, man, like genuinely nothing personal. And I actually believe like he meant it, or he's just an incredible salesman, just sold me on the whatever he sold her. But a very tall, good-looking guy, well-groomed. Dress-wise, he was completely on point. I was like, fuck, it looks a bit like French Andy, like. But I was like 21, this is wrong back in the day. But I was like, yeah, you know what, fair enough. These things happen. James, your former student Andre has been getting dragged recently, not in a good way. Do you mean Andre that I did a taster session with in Canary Wharf or someone else? What else we got here? Final questions from Samborino. Dan Colbert's back.
Love the shit staring though. Some people love this shit.
I've got a feeling it's just the same account because this Russian day game tips came from 2 other accounts as well, exactly the same phrasing. A good humbling brings us back to center. It does indeed. We've got 2.5 minutes left, guys. 2 minutes left of the stream to get your questions in. Yes, that's correct. And we're going to sit here in silence until the next question.
That'll do. It's a question.
I know the answer for Sambo.
It's Ash.
He likes a nice kind of Mario Kart one-up mushroom style.
More than a handful is more than enough.
It's like Necker's quite drinking booze, isn't it? One's too many, nine's not enough. Mr. Thorpe, good to see you, son. Sambo hasn't seen your sweet stinker since Carnival 3 years ago or something ridiculous. And he's still locked in Australia, poor lad. So imagine that being locked in paradise with loads of hot women and like a beach and like really nice weather. God, what a shame that is. Cameron Brothwick, when to know how to break up with a girl? That's a very open
fuck
question.
Yes or fuck no. If it's not fuck yes, it's fuck
great
no.
mention of that. Check out that Mark Manson article, fuck yes or no.
Unless you're certain that you want to be with her, you don't.
Yes.
Simply.
Do you want to answer that, or is it too personal?
And he goes, yeah, let me go, Sam. Yeah, I mean, look, it varies, doesn't it? Because some girls you're actually seeing, some girls it's like you've slept with a couple of times and you might sleep with again. But generally speaking, in general terms, 3 is just enough for me. Like if I actually like 3 girls in the same or different cities, that's enough in terms of I have enough time to invest in it. I have enough, memory space to remember things about them.
Your memory's not as good as it was.
Well, you got to remember a considerable amount of things about each one, don't you? First name, second name.
The big things. Eye color. What does she look like?
So yeah, for me, more than 3, and you're spreading your attention too thin, in my opinion. But that's just for me.
I think 3 is about the right number. It's a bit realistically.
Are you in the Amazon jungle? No, it does look that way. We're actually in a.
It does, isn't it? It's a very cool fucking vibe here. It is kind of in the jungle.
Right, is there one more good question? Let's just pick the best question that comes through now, and
we're going to sit in silence one more time until someone asks a good question, then we're going to call it a day. We're up to 62 viewers. It's the highest we've had all evening, as we're about to end. And Nas Tiger, who I feel is...
You get him into that as well.
I'd laugh if it was actually but okay. Good question, Joe. Where are we going next, Sam?
That's a good question. We don't really know. I mean, we might go back to Trancoso for a bit more because we've heard that the weekdays are much better than the weekends because everything shuts down on the weekends to deter tourists from coming. Whereas in the weekdays, people are busy in the streets and we want to get loads of cool footage. We want to film some stuff. And so if the streets are busy here, we'll stay here. If they're busier in Trancoso, we'll stay there. We're going to be flitting around this area in sort of east to northeast of Brazil for the next week or 2. And then we might go up to Belém, Natal, further in the northeast.
And we'll end on, Andrew. There's actually some good questions that come through, but they're for another time. Send us emails if you want to answer these questions. SS on in a game. If you ever get married, send us email. Send us email because we're out of time. And we're out of time. This is a brilliant question, but we're out of time. I'm going to come to that one. So any of these lads, send us emails. We'll talk to you on WhatsApp. Include your WhatsApp number either to me or Sam. Final question, Andrew. Sam, how pissed would you have to get to replicate James Tusk tattoos?
If you gave me 1 bottle of Jägermeister, 7 Sambucas, a glass of whiskey, and 2 blue Supermen, I think I'd be happy enough that if you suggested it, I would do it.
The exact same tattoos on your corpse. You wake up the next day.
That's why I saved the blue Superman till last. Without the Superman, I wouldn't be happy enough. I would appreciate the question after the Superman, right? I would love the idea. But pissed, it's not going to happen. You'd have to feed me a couple of Supermen.
There we go. Ending on that note. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Show us some love by tuning back into when we next do this again. And any questions, comments, if you're watching this in hindsight, which a lot of you probably will be, send Sam an email. I'm going to put it one more time. Admin at Flood.social. Flood.social.
There's definitely a dot.
There's definitely a dot. If you want a free 30-minute breakthrough strategy call, i.e. you finding out their problems.
I've got a Calendly link, so you can drop me an email. I'll drop my Calendly link on my social profiles as well. But essentially, you can just book a time that suits you, and we can talk for 30 minutes about anything you want. And for me, the same. Info at tamesjusk.com, and we can hop on a call, free WhatsApp call, figure out where you're at, where you want to go, and why you're not there, and how I can help you get there. And now the Brazilian sign of coolness and cheese. We're off to do some Blue Superman and down a bottle of Jaeger. You may see Sam with some suspect homemade prison inkwork tattoo that I've scorpion on the arm. Can you imagine if I gave you a homemade tattoo? On that note, adios. Ciao.